Good afternoon. My name is Robert Kersey, and I am presenting my HSCO 508 Interpersonal Communication Project for Liberty University. Slide. When I first started this course, I couldn't understand why I was required to take it. I figured that my interpersonal communication skills were good to go. I've been in the U.S. Navy for over 20 years. I have one child, friends and family whom I communicate with on a daily basis. I felt that if I didn't know how to communicate, by now I was in trouble. What I quickly found out after starting the course was that I didn't know how to communicate properly. Interpersonal communications is involved in every phase of our lives, since it encompasses your personal, private, business, and family relationships. What I've discovered is that interpersonal communication is key to having successful relationships. As an aviation maintenance officer, I provide a daily service to pilots and aircrew, the delivery of safe, ready-to-fly aircraft. Even though I'm in the military, this is a customer-based environment, which makes interpersonal communication key to how I do business. Slide. Every day, we communicate with friends, family, co-workers, and others. Most of us don't realize how valuable interpersonal communication is, or even what it is. In my line of work, interpersonal communication is about trust. Trust which can be broken by a lack of poor communication. Hence, the right communication message strengthens the service delivery and can result in building better relationships. Slide. My view of interpersonal communications: respect, honesty, caring. This happens when you inhale, listen, showing you care about what's being said. It also happens when you exhale, which is when you're talking, and you speak in a clear, concise voice without any negative emotions. Slide. My overarching goals: being better at listening more and speaking less. Being honest and telling people what they need to hear instead of what they want to hear. Slide. Being truthful and forthright is a huge part of interpersonal communication. To ensure this happens, you must be comfortable with yourself and able to open up in conversations. This happens when you use self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is revealing to another person how you perceive and are reacting to the present situation, and about giving information about oneself. Self-disclosure is two-dimensional, encompassing breadth and depth. Breadth happens when you know someone better, which allows you to cover more topics in your explanation. It can be likened to peeling an onion, this being the outer layer, proceeding to the core. Depth is when you make your explanations more revealing, more significant, and more central to who you are. Depth can be likened to reaching the core of the onion. Slide. Enlarging the conversation. If we stop having conversations, we limit our possibilities. Interpersonal communication is important because each and every conversation we have either ruins our relationships or enhances them. If you are running a business, or married, or in a loving relationship, your conversation dictates how successful you will be. Slide. To understand different personalities, Mel's Carbonell came up with the DISC personality types, which is a way of helping us to understand how to improve our relationships. For me, it's people are important and it's not about me. These are things I need to know. Taking a break is not a crime. I need to verbalize what I'm saying better so that others understand me. Realize that everyone has a boss and it's not me all the time. And I need to practice listening. Slide. This is the DISC personality types. D, directing, driving, demanding, dominating, determined, decisive, doing. I, inspiring, influencing, inducing, impressing, interactive, interested in people. C, cautious, confident, calculating, compliant, careful, and contemplative. And S, steady, stable, shy, security-oriented, servant-submissive specialist. Slide. After taking the Uniquely You Leader profile, I was able to understand my personality type more. D is what is expected of me. Proper, bold, conservative, obedient, perfectionist, satisfied, pleasing, deep, timid. DC is what I am. Demanding, firm, loyal, friendly, promoting, forceful, enthusiastic, positive, and outspoken. Next slide. My wake-up call. As I stated earlier, I couldn't for the life of me understand why I needed this course. But what I found after taking the Queendom personality test was that it was spot on to who I am. I scored a 72 out of 100. I'm fairly adept at interpreting others' words and actions and seeing from their perspective. I realize that empathy is an essential part of good interpersonal communication skills. I can sense what others are thinking and will likely adjust my behavior if they seem confused or uncomfortable. And I will do my best to place myself in other people's shoes in order to better understand them. Slide. What a lot of people don't understand is how their background affects their communication skills. Being in the military, I deal with people from all over the country who have different norms and customs. All these things affect how we communicate with each other. Here are some of the influences on my conversation. I'm an African-American male, Catholic, naval officer, the oldest of 4. I'm a DS personality, married, I love to travel. My positive influences are task-oriented, loyal, sociable, straightforward, dedicated. My negative influences, strong-willed at times, talkative a lot, reacting, outspoken, and controlling. Slide. Communication barriers. Everyone has communication barriers. Knowing what your barriers are allows you to work on fixing them to properly communicate. One of my biggest communication barriers is being able to express myself properly without emotion. Also having an emotional awareness when I'm listening to what a speaker is saying. And then not to speak in complicated ways that others cannot understand me. Slide. Solutions to my barriers. I need to listen with understanding. Be non-judgmental. Make new listening patterns. Use the language I would when speaking to my mother. Eye contact. And watch my facial expressions. Slide. Noise pollution. One of the biggest issues people have in communication is dealing with noise pollution, which can be unpleasant, an unpleasant sound, or a thought you hear when trying to communicate. For me, at work, dealing with noise pollution is something I never recognized. There's the internal and there's the external. Internal is the negative thoughts or emotions and distractions in your mind, and the external is the loud noises or music or talking while you're trying to communicate. Next slide. Solutions to noise pollution. For internal noise pollution, thinking before speaking, focusing on the listener more, keeping an open mind. Next slide. Solutions to external noise pollution. Find a proper place to have your meetings. Resist external distractions. Next slide. This is my plan of action. I desire to listen to others in a non-judgmental way. I don't need to be the center of attention. Start by listening to those I love. Slide. I need to let others know my limits and expectations. Take responsibilities for my feelings and don't use words that I know will upset someone. Slide. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.